Now, the bottom of page 6, I skipped 3 shapes, which I'm going to come back and do now. So the thing about these 3 shapes is they are majuscule constructs. And you'll note that they're really sort of odd. So these 3 shapes depict the mark on the page and the trace in the air. So when I come to writing these shapes, I want you to be aware of how the breath works when we write. So what we would do is we would inhale. We would inhale from the baseline. So we do this. So if I was writing an N, that's how I would write the N. Now, I would also go so each stroke is in tandem with the breath. Now, I will demonstrate this with the actual writing so you can see how it works. But I want you to sort of understand how these shapes form. Now, to make a perfect circle is very difficult. It's a lot easier than you think once you start breathing. So we start with a rotational movement, which is notice I'm not doing this. I'm using my arm. And as I get closer to the page, I slow down and I'm plotting these tangential points. And I have a diagonal. I'm starting at the diagonal. So I do this and I aim for the middle of the square. So I spiral down into it, middle of the square, touch the page, put the tool down, make the semicircle, and then I lift off and I go back around, up, back down, and on the page again. And I leave. This will help you make a circle much more accurately. So it's about using momentum, using a spiral to slow you down and take you down to the page, because in the air, there's no friction here. Well, there is friction because your hand's on the page. But as you're slowing down, because you're going to put the tool on the page, there's going to be friction here. You slow down, and then you make this line, get to the 45 mark, lift up and over, go up. And what this does is it dissipates the momentum so that you can slowly come back around, put the tool down, make the curve and leave. So that really helps in understanding how these shapes are constructed. So now let's look at it on a piece of paper. So we have Inhale. 1, 1, lift up, go back, down, lift up, go out. So now we can also go I, so there are two ways to do this. N. Notice I'm here. And I go around and down and up and back and up and down and out and out. So you're not just sort of making shapes, you're really sort of planning the movement. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shapes. And I have made one. That's part of 1. 2 and 3. 4 and up, 5, 6 and 7, 8, up 9, 10, up 11, 12, up 13 and 14, and I leave and come back. So even though you're seeing 9 parts to the letter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts, 8 marks, there are 14, 15 movements to make that shape. And that's where that's where the trace, the path in the air, and the mark on the page really come together. Now, let's look at the circle. So remember, this is the box. And that also tells you that these are the diagonal divisions of the box. This is the vertical and horizontal division. Now, in order to make a circle, we have to know where the square is. So we're going to tangentially touch this to this, to this, to this, to this. So that would give us a quadrant, a big quadrant, but quadrant nonetheless. Now the idea is to pull this line, so this line ends up there, and here, and here, and there. So how does it work? So it works like this. I'm going to keep that on the page so you have a reference. 1, 2, 3, 4. And do you see how this is between these 2 points? So we're aiming for here. And we're aiming for here, and here, and there. So, ready? So watch me use the breathing technique. So, spiral in slowly, aim for that, aim, touch the page, follow the curve, touch the 45, lift up, go around and up, and back down, pick it up, aim for there and there and there. Now, when you leave and lift and come back around. All of it, every single movement is critical. Why? As you're coming in, you slowly spiral. You aim for the tangential touching point at the top, the middle of the square. That points you to where the 45 degree is. The tool lands on the 45. It follows the path of the curve using the momentum that you created and slowed down. Then you lift off and up and around and up. And at that point, you dissipate the momentum and you come back down slowly. And that allows you to swing up onto the 45, touch the tangential touching point or the central line at the top, go around the curve. So the slower momentum is going to help you create the upward arc. You come around, you touch the 45 on the top side, you touch the vertical on the right side, and then you touch the 45 to the 45 line on the underside, and then you don't just stop there. You touch and lift off and come back around the letter. Why do you come back around the letter? You come back around the letter because when you leave and you come back around the letter and you get to the baseline, that is where the next mark is made. So the letter, the next letter, the movement is telling you this is where the next letter will be. Whereas with most people doing calligraphy, they write a letter and they go, I'll start here. So the breath and the trace and the mark, they hold the letter in this invisible dome of magic. And they space the letters. You don't have to waste your time and invariably mess up the spacing because the breath is what generates the spacing. So when people say, oh, my spacing's really bad, it's because they're not breathing. So if you find that the spacing starts to collapse, the first thing you think of is not, oh, I'm really bad at this, is, am I breathing? Am I breathing correctly? Am I breathing rhythmically? Maybe I need to slow down the pace of the writing. Maybe I need to slow down the breathing. And this is where the calligraphy really connects with its true form, which is its meditative aspect. Calligraphy is not just about the letters we're seeing on the page. It's about our connection to the universe. It's about how the writing reinvigorates our chi. And people think, oh, well, you know, it's just shapes on a page. We're traveling through space. We are, as we breathe slowly and rhythmically, we generate force. And that force reinvigorates our life force. It reinvigorates the chi around us. So when we start to connect to the writing on this kind of level, not only do the letters improve, but you improve. You really feel it. You know, and obviously in the East, you know, people talk about chi. You know, you can also talk about it from a very different perspective. You know, you're really locking into quantum mechanics here. And all these energy levels start to interact with each other, and you really find a sense of peace in the writing. And because you are connecting to the writing is connecting to you, you are slowing down, you're allowing the tool the time to make the shape, so the letter is going to improve. And I hope you've noticed that, from me sort of shouting just now and going crazy, I've completely slowed down, and my whole sort of connection and explanation has become much more meditative, because I'm trying to show you how this big explosive energy can become so peaceful. And that's what structures the shapes of your letters. And it's what structures the spacing between the letters. This is not about you trying to space the letters. This is about you being part of the writing process. And the letters will help you space them if you allow yourself to breathe through this practice.